Today, we shall discuss the constituents of the depository system. What is the meaning of depository system? Let's begin. See, depository system basically consists of the depository participants, the issuer, and the beneficial owner of the securities. Now, we can combine the depository and depository participant to be the major parts of the depository system. We shall begin understanding all these terms one by one. What is the depository system? Basically, it is the conversion of physical scripts into the electronic form. The process is called dematerialization of securities. You must have seen in various movies how the shares were purchased and sold in the previous yesteryears. There used to be a room in which all the agents and the buyers used to come. They used to bid for the shares. It used to be like a fish market. People are shouting from this end and also shouting from the other end. Right now, with the income of the onset of the technology and in the computerized age, everything has gone digitalized. So in the present day scenario, the buying and selling of shares are not held physically, they are held in the electronic form. And this process, this mechanism of buying and selling of shares through computer is called the dematerialization of securities. It is the mechanism in which the physical certificates of an investor are converted to an equivalent number of securities in the electronic form. Things have changed, times have changed. Now you don't need to get the share certificate in the physical form. Right? Now, you must have seen the driving license also. You used to get it in your hand. Now you get it online. Everything is happening through computers. When the shares also get transferred to the computer wise, that is called dematerialization. It's as simple as it is. So the depository system is the conversion of physical securities to digital era. This is dematerialization. Another term is rematerialization, which is the opposite of dematerialization. This depository system, which we are studying today, also enables the investors to convert the shares from the depository mode to the physical mode. Like if somebody does not want the digital copy of the share certificate, you are free to convert it into the physical mode as it used to happen earlier. So the opposite is quite possible, and this is called rematerialization of securities. Next, the transaction in securities take place by an electronic book entry method. Without the physical delivery of securities, no movement of checks for the payment is required. Now, I want to buy shares. The shares will automatically come in my account. I don't have to go physically. I don't have to pick the share certificate physically. Neither I have to transfer the money by going to the bank or handling over the cash to XYZ any person. Automatically sitting in the room of my house, I can buy shares and I can make the payment as well electronically. The paperwork is eliminated out. This facilitates the transparency in the transaction of the scripts. Scripts means the shares and the bonds, and lessens the settlement period. The things have gone more transparent. With the one click of a button, you can see how many shares you have, how many have you sold, what is the profit. The transparency has increased. It increases the liquidity of investment in securities. Previously, on the trading floor, you had to hunt for a buyer for that particular shares you want to sell. Now it's not like that. Immediately you can sell them. The liquidity of all the shares have increased in the depository mode. Another name for the depository system is the scriptless trading system, since there is no physical delivery of the scripts. Clear? Now, we compare the depository to a bank. How is it possible? Just like in a bank, you can go, you can deposit and withdraw the money. What do you do in a bank? है ना? If you have surplus funds, you just keep them in the bank. When you want the funds, you withdraw it. Right? This is the basic purpose of a bank. Similarly, in the depository, you can deposit the securities. At the same time, you can withdraw the securities. Withdraw here means you want to sell them, you can put it out of your account. Right, let us take a clear example. Supposingly, I have been gifted 50,000 rupees. Okay, now what do I do with this 50,000 rupees? I put them in a bank. Supposingly, I have certain shares. I purchase them. Now, do I keep them in the Almira? No, not needed. You keep it in your account with the depository, and when you want to sell them off. The bank and the depository are the same in certain terms. The depositor, that is the me or the investor, you can deposit or withdraw the money from a bank, and similarly in a depository I can deposit my shares and I can withdraw the shares. So I repeat that the word depository and bank are comparable. Now see, the depository itself, what is the meaning? It is the apex unit in the depository system. Apex, sabse bada, the topmost unit of the tree is depository. It's an organization which holds the securities, maybe the shares, the debentures, the bonds, the government securities, mutual fund units, etc. of the investor or the beneficial owner. Right? Now let us assume that I am the investor in this case. I have my fund, my securities, which are my shares. Okay. Now I will deposit my shares in this depository. So an organization, it will hold my securities. Listen, I am not going to transfer the ownership of my shares to this depository. No, they will be mine. The depository will just hold the securities. If you deposit money in the bank, who is the owner of that money? I, right? Because I have deposited the money in the bank. Similarly, if I deposit the securities in the depository, I am the owner of the securities, but the depository holds my securities. Right? I mean here the investor or the beneficial owner. Clear? Now, it holds the securities in the electronic format, as I told you, at the request of the investor through a registered depository participant. Now, this is another term which I will be discussing in the next slide. Right now, the depository is going to hold my securities in the electronic format. A new word, depository participant, is here. He will help me reach the depository. The details will follow in the next slide. Now, the depository acts like a custodian for the securities. He is the custodian, right? Supposingly you have a very important luggage and you have to go to a certain office where you cannot carry that luggage. You just hand it over to your friend that in an hour I'll come back and pick my luggage. So what is your friend doing? Your friend acts as a custodian for that luggage for 1/2 an hour. Right? Similarly, here, when I keep my securities with the depository acts like a custodian for my securities. It acts like the de facto owner of the securities held with it for a limited purpose of transfer of ownership. For how long that depository will hold my securities? Till I don't sell the shares, till I don't transfer the shares to somebody else. For the time they are in my name, I have given the depository my shares. I have deposited my shares in the depository. Okay. Next. The depository interacts with the investors through agents called the depository participants. Now listen very carefully. I want to deposit the shares in this depository, but I cannot directly go to the depository and have an interaction or a conversation with the depository. All my interaction and dealing with the depository will be held by this person, which is the depository participant. I cannot immediately go and have a word with the depository. All the dealings will be held through depository participants. Okay. The depository participants can offer services only after obtaining a certificate from SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India. Now, who is the depository participant? Anybody wakes up in the morning, okay, I will go and deposit your shares in the depository. It's not like that. You have to have proper knowledge and you have to have a certificate from the SEBI. Only then you will become the depository participant. Please don't confuse both the terms. Depository is somebody different and depository participant is absolutely different. Depository participant is the step who will take you to the depository. You cannot go to the depository directly. Okay, and this depository participant is the agent who will be the required certificate holder from SEBI. Now the investor, he has to open the depository account with any depository participant, which account is called the Demat account. To open an account, you need a person called depository participant. You have to approach the depository participant to open a Demat account. This person, depository participant, he will open an account with this depository, with this main Apex unit. He will open your account with this depository. The name of the account, Demat account, which stands short for Dematerialization of Shares. The depository, with the help of DPs, controls the electronic transfer of securities and the settlement of the transactions. Now, once this depository participant has opened the Demat account with this depository, now from then on, whenever you will be buying the securities and you will be selling the securities, all this electronic transfer, who will take care? This depository participant will take care. And for the settlement of transactions, supposingly you sell some shares and the other person is going to buy the same, all these transactions will be taken place with the depository participant's help. Clear? The depository can hypothecate the dematerialized securities against the bank loan. The securities held in the depository account can be pledged or hypothecated to avail loan or the credit facility. Now, supposingly you have shares worth 2 lakh rupees in the depository by creating a Demat account. In case you want to have a loan against those shares, when you take a loan, you need to keep something as mortgage. You want to hypothecate something. Similarly, in the dematerialized shares also, you can avail a loan on hypothecating the Demat shares. You can very well avail the loan or credit facility. Pledge of the securities in NSDL depository requires that both the borrower, that means the pledger, and the lender, that means the pledgee, should have account in the NSDL depository. Now, what is NSDL? I'll be telling you in the next slide. Now, for this moment, you just understand that if you want to mortgage your securities in order to avail the loan or the credit facility, the condition is that you and the person who is lending you the credit, both of you require to have the depository account. Clear? Next, the depository issues the receipt of bonus shares in the electronic format. Now, you know what are bonus shares? The bonus shares also, it's not that because you are not holding the physical certificates of the shares, you will be devoid of any bonus shares. If the issuing company is giving you some bonus shares, you will get them in the Demat format also. They will automatically come in your Demat account. The bonus shares issued by the company are automatically credited to the Demat and the trading account of the shareholders. So not to worry, you will not lose your bonus shares. The depository offers the nomination facility of the Demat account. As for a bank account, you mention a nominee. It could be your husband, your wife, your children, or XYZ anybody. Similarly, for the Demat account also, you have the facility to nominate the person. Clear? Next, let's take an example. This is Mr. K. Mr. K is gifted 10,000 by his parents. What does he do? He will go to a bank, open his account in the bank and deposit his money. His money is safe, kept there. Okay. In the second case, Mr. K is gifted 10,000 shares by his parents. Now, what does he do? He shall open his demat account in the depository. He shall keep his shares in the demat account. As his money was quite safe enough in the bank, similarly, his shares are quite safe in his demat account. This is the comparison or how we compare the depository to a bank. Now, next question arises, who will help Mr. K to open demat account in the depository? The answer is the depository participant. You have to go to the depository participant and he is the agent. He is the person authorized to open your account, your demat account in the depository. Clear? Next, the depository. There are two depositories in India through which all the transactions in dematerialized shares are routed. One is the NSDL, National Securities Depository Limited, and the other is CSDL, Central Depository Services Limited. There are two at present. Now, this table tells you how to compare the bank and the depository. The bank holds funds in the bank account and the depository holds the securities in the demat account. The bank transfers funds between accounts on the instructions of the account holder, and similarly, depository transfers securities between accounts on the instructions of the beneficiary account holder. Now, if you have a bank account and you want to transfer the money, a little money to anybody, to your brother, to your sister, mother, father, and you give instructions to the bank, he will definitely do that. Similarly, if you want to gift somebody some shares, the depository will definitely transfer your shares to somebody's account on your instructions. See, the bank facilitates transfer without having to handle the money. The transfer is possible. You don't have to hold the money in your hand and give it to that person. It happens automatically upon your instructions. Similarly, the depository facilitates the transfer of ownership of shares without having to handle the securities. It is just the click of a button. Next, in the bank, the money is kept safe. Similarly, in the depository, the securities are kept safe. Okay. Now, but the distinguishing difference is, bank, you can approach the bank directly. You are free. Anybody is free to walk into the bank, open an account, deposit the money, withdraw the money. Anybody can. My point is, you can go to the bank. But here you cannot go to the depository directly. It is done only through the depository participant. You cannot walk into the depository. Hai na? You cannot. You can walk into a commercial bank. You cannot walk into a depository. Who is going to do that for you? Depository participant. He is the link, intermediary between you and the depository. Clear? Next. See. This is the depository, NSDL and CSDL, just like as I told you. This person has to sell shares. This person has to buy the shares. What will they do? These two people, they will be approaching the depository participant, and this depository participant, I mean the agent, he will be meeting the depository. He is the link between this person and the depository and between this person and the depository. So this is the intermediary. These people cannot directly go to the depository. The step is this person moving to the depository participant and he will be dealing with this depository. I think now it is very clear to you. Next comes the DP, the depository participant. Let's talk about. He is the agent of the depository. You are well aware now. Vital intermediary in the depository system. Very important, right? Otherwise, how will the person, the normal citizens, deal with the depositories? It is only through this depository participant. They are the service providers to the investors. The investor wants to buy some securities, sell some securities, transfer some securities. Who is going to provide all the service? The depository participant. The depository interfaces with its investors through them. So, whatever the dealing of the depository is going to take place, to the investors, it is just going to be through this channel of depository participant. To utilize the service of the depository, an investor has to open an account with the depository participant. You have to open an account. All the buying and selling of the shares under the depository system takes place through DP only. An investor can interact only with DP and not with the depository for all the dealings in the shares and securities in the electronic form. It's a repetition. You cannot directly go to the depository, I have told you. As per the SEBI, any financial institution, the share broker, the scheduled commercial bank, foreign banks operating in India with the approval of RBI, or all these categories, they can become a DP. But the condition is you have to get yourself registered with SEBI. The stockbrokers, the clearing houses, the share transfer agents complying with the requirements prescribed by SEBI. All this category of people, they can become depository participant. What you have to do is you have to comply with the requirements which are mentioned by the SEBI. Only then you can become a depository participant. The holders of existing securities have the choice of either continuing with the existing share certificates or opt for the depository mode. See, this option is left open. If you want to deal with your share certificate in hand with the physical delivery, you are open to that. No worries, you can go in for that method also. The issuers of new securities give an option to the investors either to opt for the physical delivery of the share certificates or to join the depository mode. Now, if new securities, they are issued primary market, you are given the option. If what do you want? You want a demat account system or you want a physical method? It's open for you. The investors who go for the depository mode will enjoy the economic benefits of the shares like dividend, right issue, voting right, everything. See, I would like to mention that you are not devoid of any benefits if you have opted for the depository mode. All the benefits stand there for you. It could be the bonus shares, the rights shares, voting rights, all the dividend, everything will come into your account, even if you have a demat account, okay? The shares in the depository mode are fungible. They don't have distinct number or distinct identity. You just have shares in your account and they are safe. There is no fraud regarding it. This is what the depository mode again and again tries to highlight. Next, investors are allowed to exit from depository mode and can claim the share certificates. If you have been trading in the demat account for a long time and one blue moon you want to get the physical certificates, you can still get it. It is not a fraud. It is not a wrong thing. It is just the digital age, which is the demat account. Now, as for the depository, you should have a minimum net worth of 100 crore. Now, this depository, I mean to say the NSDL and the CSDL, they have to have the minimum net worth of 100 crores. Safeguards have been built to prevent the manipulation of records and transactions in the depository system. So, there are conditions which have been mentioned so that your money is safe, your securities is safe, and to avoid any type of manipulation. Okay. Next term is the beneficial owner. Who is the beneficial owner? Who is the owner of the shares? The beneficial owner is the investor who is going to invest in the securities. He is the real owner of the securities which has been lodged with the depository. No doubt your shares are with the depository, but you are the real owner, also called the beneficial owner. He is the person whose name is recorded with the depository. He has all the benefits, rights and liabilities attached with the securities held by him. If you have a demat account and your shares are kept in the deposit with the depository, you have all the benefits and all the rights which a person with the physical shareholder will get. You also will get everything. The depository holds the securities on the behalf of investors in the fiduciary capacity. Fiduciary capacity, just for the namesake. You haven't transferred your ownership to the depository. You haven't made him the owner. He is just holding your securities in your name. In whose name? In the beneficial owner's name. Next term is who is the issuer. Issuer is an issuing company which issues the certificates for the trading purpose. Ambani, Adani, whosoever is issuing the shares, that is called the issuer. The issuing company has to maintain a register for registering the names of the depositories as well as the beneficial owner of the securities. They'll keep a list of the depositories and the actual owners of the securities, right? Now, what are the facilities offered by the depository system? Dematerialization, I have told you the meaning. Rematerialization, I have also told you. This is holding the shares in the demat account, and this is holding the shares in the physical form. And also the settlement of trade electronically. If you do a transaction in the shares and securities, you buy or sell and sell the shares, all this settlement will happen electronically in the depository system. So this is the main facilities which the depository mode offers for you. Functions of the depository participant. Account opening and its administration. He will give you all the facilities to open your demat account and how to administer it. He will help you in dematerialization, conversion of physical holdings into the electronic form. He will also help you for rematerialization if you want, conversion of electronic holdings back into the physical form. The depository participant will help you in the settlement of all your trades and transactions. He will be daily updating you of the database of all accounts of the NSDL. He will be daily reconciling your accounts. How many shares have you purchased and how many have you sold? He will be doing the auditing, the system security and the grievance handling and so on. Like if you have a confusion regarding your transaction, he will be solving all your doubts and grievances. So here we come to the end of the article. I hope I have made the depository system very clear to you. In case you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. Like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay blessed.